from the trunk. Recommended fertilizing practices. Fertilizers should be placed around the drip circle of the plant for the first to the third year and also scattered into older fields. During the first year, place 4 ounces sulfate or urea per plant. From the second to sixth year, use 12 ounce NPK, 12-10-18 or 16-9-18 per plant twice per year during rainy seasons. Use 16 ounces per plant twice yearly from the 7th year onward. Scatter fertilizers in fields that are free of weeds from the 4th year onward. Do not scatter fertilizers near to the tree trunk. Pest and disease control. The only disease affecting cocoa in Jamaica are the black pod disease caused by a fungus and Sherrell wilt, which is a physiological complaint. Sherrell wilt causes the drying up of young pods up to 5 inches in length. Black pod disease causes a gradual rotting of pods, including the beans inside them. Black pod attacks cocoa especially under damp, cool shade conditions. Attacks may be reduced by thinning shade trees. Birds, rats, and ants spread infection from tree to tree and on the same tree. When pods with diseases are not cut off soon, the disease spreads to the bearing bumps and grow inside it, where it remains as a canker, spreading spores on other pods. Rain splashes carries the disease upward to other pods. During drier, warmer periods of the year between March and September, the disease produces tough-resistant spores that remain until sufficient rainfall occurs, when the disease again starts to spread. The soil is the recipient of black pod infection. Spores are carried from the soil in splashy when it rains up to 2.5 feet above the soil level. Treatment of black pod disease. Make sure that at least 70% sunlight gets to the matured cocoa plants. Construct good drainage in areas that are waterlogged heavy soils. Remove all branches that, when bearing, will be 2.5 feet from the ground. Remove pods that have black pod disease at least once per week. Heap affected pods in a clear area and spray with copper fungicide, or burn or bury them. Spray the soil under the affected cocoa trees. Sherrell wilt. Sherrell wilt cannot be controlled. It will affect plants less when they are grown under highly fertile, well-drained conditions. Losses can be severe when trees use up nutrients in putting out new leaves. Fiddler beetle. There are 2 types of fiddler beetles. The larger fiddler beetle, which have blue stripes along its back, and the smaller fiddler beetle. The grub of the fiddler beetle kills the cocoa trees by eating away bark around the root of the tree. Fiddlers lay their egg between 2 knitted leaves, although they do not lay between the leaves of cocoa trees. Grubs hatch and drop from shade trees in cocoa fields and are blown from surrounding trees into cocoa fields. How to control fiddler. 1 ounce mocap should be applied twice per year in a band 6 inches away from young plants. Use 4 ounces in a 2 feet wide band 2 feet away for 4 years and older plants. Treat plants when the adult beetles are most numerous during March and September. Young trees may be saved during rainy weather by the early removal of grubs. Place sand around the stream below ground to encourage the growth of new roots. The first sign of attack is a copious blooming without the production of new leaves. Rats and woodpeckers. Rats and woodpeckers destroy ripening cocoa pods. Use poison baits to control rats. The cocoa industry supplies rat bait at a subsidized cost. Rats should be allowed to eat the baits for 4 to 5 days for it to be effective. Set baits out of the reach of children and dogs. Set rat bait inside cut bamboo or tin tied to the limbs of cocoa trees. 3 days after setting bait, check to see whether more bait will be needed. Continue setting the baits when damage persists or occurs again. Woodpecker damage is much less common than that of rats. Woodpeckers make a small hole without tooth marks around the edge and remove only a small amount of beans. In rainy weather, the remaining beans will sprout if not collected soon after the pod is damaged. Duck ants and wet wood termites. Termites, commonly called duck ants, attack rotting portions of trees. Stumps that are left at time of pruning rots and encourages attacks. Ensure that stumps are not left on trees when they are pruned to discourage damage. The wetwood termite is a more serious pest. This termite attacks cut portions of the tree before rotting begins, as well as damp rotting wood. The indication of attack is a deposit of red sawdust-like excrement at the point of infestation. A small amount of diazonin poured in the affected area is recommended as treatment for control. Harvesting cocoa. Cocoa is mainly harvested during 2 periods of the year. The main harvest usually occurs between September and December. The lesser harvest is usually between March and June. As pods become more mature, they increase in size and their color changes. Green color pods or parts of pods gradually becomes yellow. Red colored pods or parts of pods gradually become orange. Pods should be harvested as soon as these changes of color become definite. They should be cut from trees without doing damage to cushions. Damaged cushions will lead to lower future yields. Use a pruning hook to harvest the higher pods. Processing and marketing of cocoa beans. Processing consists of fermenting and drying cocoa beans. The Cocoa Industry Board operates 3 fermenteries at Richmond, Morgan's Valley, and Kingston. The board purchases wet cocoa beans from collectors which are appointed by the cocoa cooperative in each parish where cocoa is grown. Fermenting takes place in specially constructed fermenting bins. Fermenting bins are made of white pine or wood which will not affect the taste or smell of the beans. The boxes should be at least 2 feet wide by 4 feet long, by 2.5 feet deep with 1/4 inch interstice in the bottom for drainage. Immature rat damaged and black pod affected beans cannot be properly fermented. The beans are aerated from one box to another on the 2nd, 4th, and 6th day of the fermentation process. Drying begins on the 8th day. The sides of the boxes must be removable to allow for cleaning. During fermentation, the beans are covered with a plastic sheet over which jute bags are spread to retain heat and keep temperature at 45 to 50 degrees Celsius. When supplies of beans are insufficient to fill a box, beans may be held in a box under banana leaves and added to the top of succeeding day's beans. 3-day supplies of beans may be fermented together in this way. During drying, beans are exposed to the sunlight in layers of 4 to 6 inches thick, preferably on wooden floors for the first 2 days. Afterwards, beans are transferred to artificial dryers where they are dried for 18 to 24 hours at 65 degrees Celsius. Cocoa yield. The highest yield has been obtained from an acre of a single clone, 3,316 pounds of dry beans, 144 boxes of wet cocoa in 1970 to 1971 from ICS1 to Orange River Agricultural Station. This field was unshaded and given 3 pounds of fertilizer per tree annually. Over a 5-year period 1966 to 1971, the average yield was 2,752 pounds, 112 boxes. Average annual yields of over 600 pounds per acre have been obtained in the large-scale cultivation under the shade of other trees and without the use of fertilizer. Yields of about 2,000 pounds per acre per annum have also been obtained from mixed clones on small farms with minimum shades and without fertilizer. Over the years, the cocoa industry have seen a decline in production from totals of 79,080 boxes produced annually in 1990 through peak production periods in 1994, where the record 102,389 boxes were produced. Since 1996, the industry has seen a severe decline up to 80% to a total production of 21,240 boxes produced in 2002. The Ministry of Agriculture and the Cocoa Board, along with the JAS, have started implementing plans to arrest the decline, go on to fulfilling our production quota, and expanding our own local manufacturing industry. Profitability on investing in cocoa. Cocoa is the easiest crop to grow, reap, and market. It is one of the least bulky and perishable crops, and because of its complete canopy, it is second only to forest in protecting the soil from erosion. Although cocoa takes 7 years to come into full bearing, with an average economic lifespan of 30 years per field, planting it under plantains or bananas or coconuts will defray the cost of planting. The product that is produced is of premium quality. with its rich, unique flavor and aroma, it has a high worldwide demand.
In our commitment to the redevelopment of the cocoa industry in Jamaica, the Jamaica Agriculture Society, in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture through the Cocoa Industry Board, is embarking on a major program for the resuscitation of our cocoa groves. This program will lead the enrichment and the development of our small, medium and large farmers. Over the last 10 years, the cocoa production in Jamaica has declined by over 70%. The Jamaica Agriculture Society, which is the organization that represents the interests of all farmers, is giving its full support to the rehabilitation efforts of the cocoa industry board and the cocoa industry on a whole. This effort will lead to the development not only of the cocoa farms, but also will impact positively on rural farmers and their farms family. This rehabilitation efforts will make all cocoa farmers be extremely proud that they are cocoa farmers, because it will lead to higher level of production and productivity that will result in higher income for the farmers. We are also focusing on ensuring that the cocoa as a product under the brand Jamaica retain its #1 status on the world market. On that basis, I want to make a special appeal to all my fellow farmers, all my cocoa farmers, to be engaged in this major drive and this effort to rehabilitate our cocoa groves in order to fill the existing demands on the world market and regain our #1 spot as the finest cocoa in the world. The Jamaica Agriculture Society will shortly be a part of the collaborative team that will engage in the rehabilitation of over 6,000 acres of cocoa in Jamaica. We will be appealing to all the stakeholders, the Agricultural Credit Bank, the Development Bank of Jamaica, RADA, the PC Bank, and all those that have direct impact on the cocoa farmers to work with the Ministry of Agriculture, the Cocoa Industry Board, and the Jamaica Agriculture Society in our effort to rehabilitate the cocoa industry in Jamaica. I therefore urge my fellow farmers to join us as we move forward in the rehabilitation of the cocoa industry. And your Jamaica Agriculture Society is committed to work with all of you, all of our farmers, to the development of the cocoa industry that will lead to the rural development, the rural people, their farm families, and certainly the broader economic scope of Jamaica land we love.